Okay, here we are today, August 24th, 2022, for another video from the Daughters of Liberty. These are a series of videos that are all about flax growing, harvesting, processing, weaving, and turning into linen cloth. This is a small field of flax plants that I'm standing in. Of course, mixed in are poppies, grass, some wild oats, all sorts of weeds. It was a plot that was planted last fall here at the George Washington Inn and Estate on the Straits of Juan de Fuca at the northern part of Washington's Olympic Peninsula. Last fall, when the flax was planted, it got a good start, it got good roots going, and then the winter came, the temperatures dipped to 17 degrees, it froze most of the tops down, but they came up again in the spring. We had a very wet spring, so we're quite certain that if we planted in the spring, we would not have gotten a good crop due to the cold and the wet springs that we often have here. There are very cool winds off the Straits of Juan de Fuca. So we were able to harvest our first batch of flax for the flax fiber in the middle of June, June 15th. And at that time, this is a variety called Sussex flax, grown especially for the flax fiber. When the stems have about a third of the leaves on the bottom brown, that is when you harvest for the maximum fiber. You don't have at that point seed pods very well formed, or you won't get mature seeds, but you have a few blue flowers. So we did that in the middle of June. Then the second harvest came on the 4th of July, where there were no more flowers. Some of the seed heads were starting to mature, and the plant could be used to harvest for seeds and for fiber. Then the next harvest came around just after the 1st of August, when the pods, as you see them here, were golden, sort of a chestnut brown. There was still a lot of green in the stems, but the pods were at full maturity, and when rattling, you could hear the seeds inside have a certain maturity that will give you a good yield. Now, this particular flax, as I said, is Sussex flax, and even though it's grown for its long stems to give us good fiber, the fiber should be, for the longest, 23 to 36 inches long. You get a good amount of seed pods, the bolls, that are then detached from the top of the plant before it is processed for the fiber. Once the plant is dried, you comb off the seed pods in a technique called rippling. And once it is rippled, then it can be processed for the fiber by first soaking until it's rotted or retted. That was done here through the month of July, so that we could then also dry it and process some of the flax fiber out for demonstrations in the middle of August. Those have been done for our Colonial Festival here at this particular location. There were demonstrations done on both the rippling, pulling off the seed pods, on breaking the stems into smaller chunks of just chaff, on scutching, which is scraping off the chaff, and on a number of the factors that get into spinning and combing of the flax. So this is the final product, and this is the last harvest that we'll do for this year. It's hard to say what we'll do different for next year. The seed bed was adequately prepared with manure. There was no attempt to control the weeds. In here there are poppies and other weeds. There are some wild oats mixed in from the local environment. May have come with the manure, but this is just the mix. So harvesting the plants at this point still and all the way along just means grabbing the plant and pulling it up by the stem. You get the plant, you put it in your hand. When you get a bundle of plants, you pull up one and wrap it around the whole bunch, and that's the bundle then that stays intact through the processing. So that's the flax growing. Thank you much for watching.